Every ball used in sports has some sort of distinguishable characteristic, ranging from size and weight to material and shape. And on this episode, we've traveled to Chicopee, Massachusetts to see how Callaway makes one of the most recognizable balls in sport, the golf ball. I'm Leland, and welcome to Sports Dissected, the series. All right, guys, so I'm here with Mr. Algis, the Director of Manufacturing here at Callaway, right?
That's right.
So what are we expecting to see today?
You're going to basically see the whole process. We're going to take the raw rubbers, the raw materials, and create the engine of the golf ball, which is the core. And then we'll finally go to the next phase, which is TPU molding, and we'll actually take the urethane and put the dimples on the ball. And then from there, we'll go to the final decorating stages, which would be printing, painting. You'll even see packaging.
Roughly how many balls do you guys produce per year?
Per year, we're looking at around somewhere by the end of this year, about 5 million dozen golf balls.
Nice, that's a lot of balls.
That's a lot of golf balls, yes.
What is your favorite step or favorite stage that we're going to see today?
All right, I love mixing. I'm a mixing guy. I've been making golf balls for 20 years. That's the bread and butter. If you can't make the engine, it's not going to go.
All right, guys, so I'm here with Mr. David. We're in the facility.
Yep.
You're going to be showing us how it's manufactured, how it's made.
Yes. Yep.
What is this?
All right, so everything with a golf ball really starts with the core, right? The core is the engine of the golf ball. We start with butadiene rubber. It's the same rubber that's used in tires, just a really high grade, right? We want golf ball cores to be soft and resilient, so we use a really high grade of rubber. We combine that with other ingredients, some of which are bulk fed into our mixer. We weigh certain amounts of rubber. We move this to the belt. The recipe calls all of the other ingredients, the different powders from the system. Those are all dosed directly into the mixer behind us. Think of this like a big bread mixer, right? The rubber goes in, all the powders go in. It kneads it till it's nice and uniform. Then we drop it on a mill, we sheet it out, and it gets turned into golf ball cores.
We just grab fresh rubber off a roller.
Right. So what
Explain it a little bit.
So what we're doing is once the rubber is mixed inside the mixer body, it'll drop down. Rollers will then kind of smooth out the rubber and get into a nice sheet form. Once it's in a nice sheet form, then it'll be set up into the cooling chamber and then getting ready for the next process down the line. We test each batch for physical properties, compression, specific gravity, and then from there it gets on. Once it's passed, it goes on to the next phase.
All right, so David, what are we checking out here?
All right, so this is our rubber testing lab, right? Every batch of rubber that we drop, we want to make sure that it meets our very tight and exacting specifications. Again, the core is the engine of the ball, so it's very important that the batches come out the right way. What our friend Nick here is doing, he's doing a compression test. So this machine here is squishing the core under a certain load, and we're measuring how much that core deflects. And we use those measurements to say, yep, the batch meets our specifications, and we have very tight compression specs, depending on the products we're trying to make sure that these batches are coming out the right way. We weigh a very specific weight of rubber, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it in this guy here. And so what this machine does is we say, okay, we have a certain weight of rubber. We put it in this chamber and it compresses it and it pulls vacuum and it squishes it to a known volume. The rules of golf say that golf balls have to be below a certain weight. Heavier golf balls go further. So what every manufacturer in the world tries to do is make golf balls all the way up to that weight limit. Okay. And so weight is one of the things that we try to control very tightly because we try to push the limit of the rules.
So what we're doing now is once we have the batches tested, what we want to do is create a blend. And we always want to blend to a target. Right now what we're doing here is creating a preform. So we're going to take the batch, we're going to slit it into strips, and from there it's going to go into the extruder. From here we'll heat it up, get into a preform shape, cut it to the right size, cool it down a little bit, and get it to the core molding. We're basically taking the preform, which is uncured rubber. We want to cure it, so what we use is temperature, pressure, and time to start that cross-linking reaction. For example, what we'll do in this process here, we'll take the preforms, place them into the mold, set them into the core molding press. From there, we'll basically get that temperature to hit that reaction point, and that starts that cross-linking reaction. So from when it's done, you'll get a solid core, which is basically almost like a super ball.
All right, Dave, so we've gotten layer one.
Layer one, that's the core, yep.
Layer two.
Yep, inner mantle.
And now we're at the stage where we're making the third.
We're making layer 3, right?
Okay.
And so the performance of the ball, the design of the ball really depends on the different sizes, the thicknesses, the hardnesses of all the layers, including the cores. And so in this operation here, where we're putting onto this outer mantle layer, we melt down various plastics. The plastic we use is called ionomer. It's a very unique plastic in that it's resilient and crack resistant, which is important for golf balls. You don't want them breaking on the course. And so in this particular case, we're combining some very firm plastics to put on the outer mantle for our Chrome Soft X20 golf ball. So this is a critical part of our process. So what it allows us to do is actually see inside of our golf ball components. So as we're trying to make really consistent, high-performing product, one of the things that feeds into that is making sure that each component is centered in the next layer. And really the only good way to do that is with an X-ray.
What's the biggest importance of that?
Right, so again, how the ball is constructed in terms of the layers and the thicknesses helps control the spin and the performance. So we just want to make sure that as we put very thin layers of plastic around a core, or we try to put a very soft core into the middle of a slightly firmer core when we make our dual cores, we want to make sure that all of those components are centered so that it minimizes the effect on performance.
All right, so August, this is one of the final steps of the component manufacturing side?
Right, so what we're doing here is we're actually putting the urethane on top of that ionomer mantle, where we put the dimples onto the golf ball, and we basically create the finished final layer. We'll take the urethane, heat it up, melt it, and inject it around the mantle. Once that happens, the camera systems will inspect the golf ball, and then we'll come out, get ready for staging.
So now we put on the cover of the golf ball, and you can see we've applied the aerodynamic surface, right? Some manufacturers call them dimples. We have kind of a lattice that's laid over the top, so we just talk about it as an aero surface. So the purpose of the surface is to improve lift, to get the ball in the air and keep it in the air, and reduce the drag on the golf ball.
So how long did it take you guys to kind of figure out the type of shape or how many shapes to go on the ball?
Years and years, right? And it's a constantly evolving part of golf ball design. So everything we do after we mold, whether we roughen the surface or we paint it, all affects the aerodynamics. So 100% of our golf balls go through a camera system that looks at every area of the ball and makes sure that there's no defects. If there's a defect, it gets thrown away. Only the best balls make it through into a finished good.
I have my gloves on. I'm looking at these beautiful balls.
Now these balls are awesome, right? So one of the things we do here, in addition to our stock product, we make decorated product. So a decorated product can go from anywhere being a triple track design, which we'll see here with the blue, the red, and the blue, to a TrueViz design or a pentagon shape that we'll put on top of the ball, whether we do a solid colors or we do custom logos. What we do is on our pad printing machine, we'll take a steel plate, take the image onto the plate, put some extra ink on there, take a pad, transfer that ink onto the ball, and we'll keep on rotating the ball till we get the pentagons fully adhered to the surface of the ball, and then it goes into the UV curing chamber, and that cures that UV ink all over the golf ball so it's nice and hard, getting ready for the next step.
All right, so Dave, we're looking at what is the finished product?
Yeah, finished golf ball, right? So we got 2 coats of paint on this. It's a clear polyurethane paint. It serves a couple of purposes. One, cosmetically, right? Makes the ball look nice and glossy and premier looking. It protects the cover and the artwork. Most importantly, it's a critical part of the process, right? We talked earlier about the importance of aerodynamics. And you can imagine if you don't do a good job putting a coat of paint on it, all that precision can go away. So we do regular quality checks. The amount of paint that we put on. We check the coverage, the uniformity, to make sure that we take that nice aerodynamic surface and we preserve it by putting a nice even coat of paint on it.
I like it. It has that nice sheen to it.
It does. We also make golf balls. Some of our models have a matte coating. Glossy coating continues to be the most popular.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, looks good.
So next is getting it packaged.
Going right to packaging.
Get it out to go.
Let's go. Yeah, so this is packaging. So all the hard work has been done, and now it's time to put these things in some boxes and get them out to customers. In the back of the machine here, we have a sleever that forms the sleeves. All of the forming is done automatically by machine in different jigs. So the sleeves are filled, the tops are closed on the sleeves. We have scales in the system to make sure that every sleeve has 3 golf balls and every dozen has 4 sleeves. They move down the conveyor to the base and the lid formers. The flat packaging again comes in, we form the base. The machine picks up 4 sleeves, again 1, 2, 3, 4, puts them in the base, moves on down the line where we form the lids. Lids are applied to the top of the box, slide under the jig, which tamps it down and closes it. Again, goes through a scale to make sure we got 4 sleeves of golf balls in the dozen pack. Moves down to the hand pack station where we pack what we call the master shipper. This is what gets delivered to the stores. The packer packs the master shipper, which then goes onto another conveyor. We close the box, we tape it up, we apply our label that's got our part number and all the pertinent information to that golf ball, and it finally moves down to the palletizing robot. Picks up 3 master shippers at a time, puts them on a pallet, and when that comes off the line, we scan it, and off it goes to the warehouse.
There it is. Well, thanks so much for the for showing us around the factory.
Really is my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to go check that out.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you again so much for coming. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
When it comes to locker rooms, it's only 2 types of people. There's everyone else, and then there's Shield lockers. Since 2014, Shield's #1 priority has been to disrupt all industry standards by blurring the line between traditional function and modern masterpiece. With their use of non-traditional materials such as solid surface, they're able to set their clients' imaginations free. The Brooklyn Nets and Kansas Jayhawks trusted them, and you should too. Visit shieldlockers.com to unlock your dreams. But beware, because this isn't your father's locker room.